Well, you're still working for Frank Costello, and you eventually end up in Vegas.
Yeah.
And at that time, and this was kind of outlined in the movie Casino, the mob was controlling some of the hotels and casinos in Vegas, which was funded by the Teamsters Union to fund all the loans to build all these hotels. So, explain to me how Vegas was back then.
Well, Vegas then was run by families. Every family, some had two. I mean, Chicago had three hotels, but St. Louis, everybody, I mean, New York had the Sands, then went to Caesars, but it was all controlled. They couldn't, that's why there was never a killing or any problems in Vegas, because the mob controlled it. Then there was a guy called Nick Nady out of Chicago, me out of New York. We would go meet them in the counting rooms. They counted the money before anybody did. There was no cameras in there. And I was very close to all those guys through the years. Mickey Cohen, Yale Cohen, all these guys, they controlled it. And we'd leave there every Monday morning and drop off money here and there. And then we started making longer journeys, going to the Vatican, because everybody was catching on to it. Especially Howard Hughes. The only reason Howard Hughes went to Vegas, I don't know if anybody in the world knows this. He was backed by the United States government. I don't know if you know that. Did you know that?
No.
They gave him a large aircraft contract with the understanding the profits from that, you start buying up hotels, because they realized they had to get in to see what was going on. They had FBI agents as 21 dealers, cocktail waitresses. They had to see what the mechanism was. Then they started to see it. And that still went on for a year or two. And then we all got out. And then Spilotro destroyed it all. Tony Spilotro destroyed that whole deal like Gotti destroyed New York. It's all over.
Well, I recently interviewed Frank Cullotta. Did you cross paths with him at all?
So many times, Frank Cullotta. Are you kidding? Frank Cullotta was a guy from Chicago that was with, I like how he just walked on everything. And he said, I written rat on nobody. Oh, okay.
When you look back at all this, because you come from a family of criminals, being a rat is one of the worst things that you could be. And in the mob, you get killed for being a rat. But you cooperated, and would you consider yourself a rat?
Not really. I'll explain. Let me explain that to you. A rat is an informant. I made a mistake one time calling myself a rat. A rat is an informant. He works with the FBI or local law enforcement for money. He likes it. He was a wannabe cop. I was a federal witness. I testified on the only things that I actually participated in. That's the difference between being an informant and a witness. So I always try to correct people. Some of them don't quite understand it. This is the way I look at it.
How come you're not in jail? You've done killings. He shot a guy. I had a kid working for me. I used to do, believe this or not, I used to do a cooking class when I was all through Europe. I learned how to cook. I had nothing to do during the day. So I used to train my own chefs. I used to go to Gene Prison, have a culinary class, and I'd take out white-collar guys. And the sheriff's bus would drop them off. Dishwashers, everything. I had the whole back of my house. I paid nothing. I got a write-off in taxes for it, no less. And this kid worked for me, and he always used to say, you know, boss, I'll take a bullet for you for what you did. Man, you changed my whole life around. And I used to close State Street, operated my restaurant, nightclub, and casino. I used to operate 12 hours a day, 6 o'clock to 6 in the morning. And then we'd go for pizza or somewhere and take out people. And if it was warm out, I'd go to the lake and go on my boat, and I'd take some women with me. So one morning, in the Maryland Square Shopping Center, there's a big shop. I always had great cars. Rolls Royces, Ferraris, all that. So I never parked them next to, other cars. I parked them in the middle of empty parking lot. Nobody's there but the pizza parlor. And I catch out of my eye a car idling on the other side of the parking lot. And I have to walk maybe to the middle of it to get to my car. And I have this guy, Ralph, with me. And we start walking towards the car. This guy comes down. As he gets maybe 100 feet next to me, Ralph throws me to the ground and takes 6 shots and kills him. The guy dies in my arms. He said he'd take a bullet, and he did. The car sped off. Because my guys, the Panaro brothers and all, were getting in their cars and they're catching the whole move. So they're firing at that car. But Spilotro wanted me in the worst. I threw him and Cullotta out of my club. Now Cullotta's running tours in Vegas to the Mob Museum. I love this guy. Did you know that? He has tours going for the mob.
Yeah. Like I said, I just interviewed him. For those that don't know, the movie Casino, he played one of the characters in that movie. I mean, he was portrayed as one of those characters.
Right.
Like basically Joe Pesci's right-hand man
Right.
was Frank Cullotta in real life.
Yep.
Did you know the Joe Pesci character? What was his real name?
Are you kidding? I was the ant, Tony Spilotro.
Tony Spilotro.
Tony Spilotro hated me. I met him on New Year's Eve with Nick Nitti at the Stardust Hotel. I didn't like the guy from day one. And he hated me because he's like John. If he ain't getting the attention, they always wanted to, come on, we're going to go meet John at Regimes. I said, I'm going home. I was always smart enough to stay away from it. And I didn't need it. Look, I'm still here doing everything I'm doing. I never slept in jail, never had a handcuff on. Never arrested.